It's going to blow them away. You're going to run into people that don't like Christians, but they're going to like you for some reason. You know, isn't it amazing that when you read these stories about Jesus, that the Pharisees were probably some of these disciples' worst enemies, but they got along with Jesus. You know, they get along with the religious people. I don't blame them. You know, when I hear people say, I get mad at a Christian or hate, sometimes I say I don't blame them. You know, I really don't, because I can understand that. I can understand people feeling hurt by Christians. You know, I can understand, because sometimes Christians, you know, they're still people, and they get in their own little religious mentality. They think things should be a certain way or whatever, and they start saying hurtful things. You know, not because God told them to, just because they're hurtful. Because they, you know, I think it's funny, you know, you hear so much about not drinking or not smoking or not committing adultery or whatever, but you don't hear much about gossip in churches, and that's probably one of the biggest things people deal with. Or, you know, it's funny, it says they will know you by your love for one another, but I can tell you I've rarely run into Christians outside of my house that actually I feel like really have that kind of relationship with. You know, every now and then I have that kind of connection, but a lot of they just don't love. And that's the main thing that Jesus wanted, that we love. You know, if my wife knows that I love her, and I tell her, you probably, what you're doing, if you should probably watch out for this, or, I want to take care of you, keep your eye out on this or whatever, she'll know I love her, so she'll listen to me. But if she didn't know I loved her, and I just told her, you need to stop doing this or stop doing that, she's like, don't tell me what to do. And rightfully so. Because why should I be telling her what to do? If we don't have a relationship. One of the things, it's funny because I've thought about this before. One of the things, I don't spend a lot of time giving you guys lists of do's and don'ts, because you know what? It's none of my business. There are certain things that each one of you have in your life that you're dealing with, that you are personally battling with, that's between you and God. I don't spend a lot of time talking about the problem because I want to give you the solution. It works in every situation. It's called faith. When you believe God, you can get through anything. And that's why I don't spend a lot of time going, well, if you do this, then this is going to happen, and do this, and that's going to happen, and whatever. Because, ultimately, I want you to have a relationship with God. Every single time we come together, and I pray that you guys come closer. I pray that for you guys during the week. Because I want you to become closer to God. Because I know the closer you get to God, the closer you get with Jesus, the deeper your relationship with Him, then all of these other things aren't going to mean anything. You'll get past it. The things the hang-ups. It's funny, the more closer I got to Jesus, the more I spend time with Him, the little hang-ups in my life, He starts to tell me about it. It's funny, out of nowhere, I'll be praying, and that's one of the things I've told you this before. God's getting on to me about my eating and about my exercise. I would never preach it to you. I would start saying, you guys need to start doing this, this, and this. I'm never going to change the things I cook because I like, garbage food every now and then. But that's something God's told me to do. He said, you need to watch this and this in my life. And it's funny that as I've started, I literally will feel convicted about things every now and then. Like I was telling Holly, I ate some ice cream with some hard shell. I love it so much. But you know what? All last night, I had crazy dreams about Roseville Auction. Why? People complaining. It was funny. Somebody was, my grandpa was there, and people were complaining about me. And I'm like, Papa, I'm not this way. And they're like, oh, he's getting mad at me about something. I was like, what? It was just, because I ate the ice cream, And God told me to stop eating that stuff before I go to bed. I really felt like that. That's something that is for me. It's not for you. Unless God tells you that. God, the thing is, it doesn't bother me to watch movies. I can go to a movie and it doesn't bother me. I'm an adult. I can watch it, but I don't watch scary movies. I'm not saying they're wrong, but I don't like them. They creep me out. I don't want to get visions of people's dismemberment in my head, But that's just me. It's not you. I'm not going to sit here and make a doctrine out of it, but that's what religion does. Having a relationship with God is harder than having a religion. A religion's easy. I don't drink, I don't cuss, I don't smoke, I don't watch rated R movies, I don't, shoot, if I started going down the line of people's do's and don'ts of religions, I'd be in hell already. I'd be in hell, because I tell you what, I do a lot of those things. I don't smoke, though. I don't like smoking. I never have. But but the thing is that it's about a personal relationship with you and God. God, if you will spend time praying, if you will take time with Him, then God will tell you the things that you need to do. He will. I know how to treat my wife because I spend time with her. I know when to shut up and when to talk because I've spent time with her. I know that if I say a certain thing at a certain time, I'm going to get my head ripped off. I'm not stupid, all right? We've done this long enough. You know, it's the same thing with God. When you spend time with Him, you know what you need to do and what not to do, what you don't need to do. And, you know, and that's the thing, you know, sometimes it's sad because I might have a conviction and I'll start preaching it, and then you guys start feeling not conviction but condemnation because you're like, oh man, you know, but that's not what God speaks. You know, get this image in your head right now, please. This is so important. Christianity is not a one-time experience, it's a journey. And all of us are on that journey at a different time. I get so mad when I go bike riding and my daughter can't stay up with us. It just makes me mad. But you know, I have to step back sometimes and go, well, she has little legs and she's younger than me. Of course she can't do it as well as I can. You know? She can't. Josiah, for some reason, can pass me up. That's where he's at. That's not where Micah's at. I wish she was, but she's not. You know, it's a journey. We're not all the same. Some of us have gotten places in our life. Some of us haven't gotten there yet. The problem is when we start pushing people and we start like knocking them over the head with our journey, saying that you need to be right here, right now, then they get, what? Frustrated. Haven't you heard people say, I tried that Christianity stuff and I gave up because it was too hard? It's because somebody was forcing their journey. If I was to try to take Micah and force her to get ahead of me, she's going to get tired, she's going to upset, she's going to get frustrated, and she's not going to want to ride a bike anymore. And rightfully so, because I was a jerk. You guys understand my little analogy here? I hope you get it. Rightfully so. I'm talking to myself too because I do that. Come on, Micah, get up here. But that's rightfully so. Jesus went to where this man was, in that graveyard, smelling like death, filled with a bunch of demons. He went right to where that man was, and he dealt with him where he was. And you know what's amazing? Jesus tells this guy, I'm not even looking at the clock anymore, I don't think. Jesus tells this guy, he says, look, I want you to go out and tell your family about this. Because the guy's like, no, I want to follow you, Jesus. I want to follow you. I want to go where you go. Jesus, you know, you did this amazing thing in my life. He was in his right mind. Again, he understood. But Jesus said, no, I want you to go tell this to your family. You know, I said this last week. You notice that Jesus didn't tell him to give all he had and follow him? He didn't say that. He said it to the rich man. Give all you have and follow me. But he didn't say it to the demon-possessed man. Why? Well, the first reason is obvious. The guy didn't have anything. He was naked, living in tombs. What did he have to give up? You see what I'm saying? Isn't it funny that as Christians, we try to impose a certain thing? Oh, if you're going to become a Christian, you've got to do this, this, and this. And if you don't do all this, then confessing Jesus as Lord of your life is never going to mean anything. I'm going to tell you what. I confessed Jesus as Lord of my life, and I sincerely followed Him and loved Him with all my heart, and I still messed up. But you know, there was one thing I realized is that God had grace and mercy, and He was working on me. There were times that, I'm being honest. If we're honest, like I said, if we can throw down our religion and get honest about things, you know, it's so easy when you go to a church building to put on a show and act like you're something that you're not. And it's so hard to be a real person. But you know, that's why God likes it, that we take time to really spend time with Him. And that's why I really feel this is my vision. This is my mission. This right here. Nice little setting in a house. You know, each person, you know, having their own little house where they're doing the same thing that I'm doing. Doing the same thing. All over the world. That's why I see it. Because then, if you have a problem, and you can sit down and say, you know, I'm really struggling with this. Or I'm really having a problem with this. Why? Because you got people who care about you and love you. You know? That's what the church is all about. Hey, I'm struggling. I need a bill paid. Guess what? We're all going to work together and help you with that. Hey, I'm struggling. You know, I'm really struggling with this situation. Can you help me? Here, let me give you something out of the Bible. Hey, I have this. I have that. It's everybody working together. When you go to church, you're not going to... You're all dressed up, looking pretty, standing about a bunch of other people who smell nice, looking pretty. You're not going to turn to that one. You know, I've been really struggling with this. You know, they're going to look at you and go, don't tell me about it. You know why? Because you're messing up a pretty service. We look pretty here. I'll tell you, the next scripture here, Jesus gets kicked out of town because he saved this guy. You know, totally set him free. They run him out of town. Why? He messed up what they were doing, especially with those pigs. He messed a lot of things up. A bunch of dead pigs floating on there in the lake, washing up on the shore.